Buongiorno, buongiorno, benvenuti.
Good
Cominciamo.
afternoon and
Il
welcome.
mio è solo proprio un telegrafico.
So I'll
Saluto
be really
perché
brief.
appunto
I
siamo
would
qui
like
oggi
to
per
welcome
questo
you. I'm so
quarto
happy. We
summit
are so happy
internazionale
to
delle
have
città e
you
reti
here for this
dell'UNESCO.
fourth international
Qui, come avete
summit
visto,
of the
abbiamo
UNESCO
dato per
Creative
titolo Feeding
Cities.
Innovation
As
Through
you
Creativity.
can see, the title is Feeding Innovation Through
L'inizio di
Creativity.
questo nostro incontro
Well,
per una
um,
volta non è affidato a degli
for
speech dal
once,
microfono, dal palco. Abbiamo
we
preferito
have not
condividere una
speeches from
conversazione,
here,
quindi
from
io adesso
stage,
vado ad
with a
accomodarmi, vi farò
microphone.
parlare
We
Claudio
have
Cecchinaelli,
chosen a
farà delle
conversation, a
introduzioni,
dialogue instead, and it will be
così capite di che cosa
Claudio
andiamo a parlare.
Cinelli
Grazie.
introducing all our guests so that you can understand what we are going to talk about.
No, direttamente da qua io sono microfonato come nei migliori
So
tempi di
I've
Lara.
got a microphone, like,
Era il nostro
like what they did
testamento,
at
poi chiuderemo
Rai, the
così la
Italian
vita
TV
Rai.
channel.
Grazie mille,
And
sì,
you will
per
later
averci accolti, i
be
nostri
told
ospiti,
what
grazie alle
RAI is.
multinazionali.
But
Vado a
thank you so
presentare chi
much,
animerà
dear
questa prima parte
Mayor,
del nostro
for
incontro.
welcoming
Comincio
everybody. I will
con Franco
introduce the
Bernabé,
people who
che è
will
il
be with us.
presidente della
Franco
Commissione italiana
Bernabé, the
per
president of the
l'UNESCO.
Italian Commission
Accanto a
for
lui abbiamo
UNESCO.
Sabrina Samurri,
Then together
direttore
with him, we
generale
have Sabrina
cultura per la
Samurri,
regione Lombardia,
General Director for Culture
ancora al
for
suo
the
fianco Leandro
Lombardy region.
Ventura,
Then
direttore dell'Istituto
Leonardo
Centrale per il
Ventura,
Patrimonio
Director of the Central
Immateriale
Institute
del
for
Ministero
the
della Cultura. Non
Immaterial
so se è rimasto soltanto
Heritage Ministry
immateriali
of
per la parte
Culture. I don't
materiale che
know if there is
immateriale.
something
No, ti
also
occupi solo di cose
material,
immateriali.
immaterial,
Sei stato
material. No,
assunto
so,
e a
okay,
seguire
so you
abbiamo
work
Alessio
only in the
Pascucci, che è il
intangible world. You
presidente
were bright, and
dell'Associazione
then
per
Alessio
Italiani Patrimonio
Pascucci, president
Mondiale, a
of
cui si
the
è recentemente
Association of
associata
Italian
la città di
Heritage.
Bergamo.
And
Eh,
Bergamo recently
Qui
joined this
oggi
group.
sono rappresentate città
So
creative,
over here
UNESCO,
we
e
see
sono
creative
rappresentate
cities
città
from
che custodiscono
UNESCO.
beni
We have
del
cities
patrimonio
that
materiale ma
hold
anche immateriale
um,
UNESCO. Parlavamo prima,
intangible and
pranzo, del patrimonio
tangible
immateriale del Toccati
heritage
che si
sites from
trova
UNESCO. For example, we
in
were
provincia
talking
di
before
Bergamo,
about Tocati
rappresentazione
in
nel
Bergamo
Pirli.
that we see in
Questo è un
Pirli.
esempio di collaborazione
So
fra
this is an
le
example of
città creative e
collaboration
le
among
città del
creative
patrimonio
cities
mondiale.
and the cities of
Secondo
the
voi un tipo di collaborazione di
international
questo
heritage.
genere
So, do you think that
rafforza
such a
il ruolo
collaboration
delle
will
città,
strengthen
della diplomazia delle città
the role of cities
sostanzialmente,
and
e
their
crea rapporti
diplomacy? So, to
diretti,
say, will
bilaterali,
it
ma anche
create direct
multilaterali
bilateral
all'interno
and
del nostro
multilateral
sistema più complesso.
relationships
Quindi
within our
UNESCO
more
come
complex system? So,
opportunità per le città di
UNESCO
costruire una
as an
rete di relazioni
opportunity
proficue
for
di
cities
scambio
to create a
internazionale. Che cosa ne
network of
pensate? Secondo voi
exchange from an
potrebbe essere
international
un'evoluzione?
perspective.
Perché
Do you
soprattutto città
think
creative
this
nascono
could be an
direttamente come
evolution?
reti,
Because
quindi
at the end of the
network.
day,
Noi
creative
seguiamo
cities are a
l'impegno a
network.
collaborare fra le
We
città, che è un
follow
impegno
that
che ad esempio non
path
viene
to
richiesto
collaborate
alle
among
città
cities. This is
patrimonio
something
dell'umanità, che
that
però poi si raggruppano
um,
in associazioni.
World Heritage
Sindaco,
cities
che
are not
cosa
asked
vuole
for,
dirci
but
su
then they
questo?
Sì,
decided to become part of an association. So, dear
ok, mi
Mayor, what's
sentite?
your
Sì.
point of view on this perspective? Okay, can you
Io
hear me?
penso che
So, I think
l'occasione che abbiamo
that
di appartenere ad una rete di città
this
che hanno
occasion to be part of a
espresso
network of cities that
progetti di candidatura
have
come
shown
città creative che hanno
various
ottenuto la
projects to
designazione per le
apply as
diverse
creative
discipline, nei
cities and
diversi ambiti,
got then chosen for
offre a
the
ciascuno di noi la
various
possibilità di aprire
fields. Well, this
mondi,
offers all of us the
relazioni,
opportunity to open
ehm,
up worlds,
opportunità di conoscenza
relationships, and
che ci sarebbero
opportunities to
diversamente precluse.
meet one another.
Ognuno ovviamente approfondisce
Each
le
and every
porte
one of
con
us
le città
then
con le quali
decides
ha
to
più
focus
affinità.
more
Noi
on
abbiamo
those
per esempio colto
relationships with the
l'occasione della
cities we are
designazione
more tied to. For
di Bergamo
example,
come
we
città creativa per la gastronomia
took
per
advantage of
allacciare un
the
rapporto
occasion
molto
of
stretto con
us
le
being
altre
chosen
città
for gastronomy.
creative per
Well,
la gastronomia,
we
quindi con le
took
città di
advantage of
Alba e di
that to
Parma,
create a relationship with
con le
Alba
quali siamo
and
andati a
Parma, the other two
costituire un
cities for
distretto,
gastronomy. And so we have created together
un
with
distretto
them a
gastronomico
district,
italiano, riconoscendo
um,
l'opportunità che,
gastronomic
mettendo a fattor
district, a
comune
food
le
district, so
culture
that
gastronomiche di questi tre
blending the
territori si
gastronomic
potesse
cultures
rappresentare
of those
anche
three
sull'aspetto
lands, well, we
turistico
could
una
represent that
destinazione
also in
unica,
touristic
soprattutto
sphere,
per
so that we
il
have
turismo
only
internazionale,
one
che
destination, especially for
ovviamente
international
guadagna forza
tourism.
dal fatto che siamo
That
tre e
ends
non
up
ognuno
being
per suo
better
conto.
because it's three of
E
us,
così
not
si
only
sono dati
one.
molti
So we have seen multiple exchanges among us. I say hi to all of our friends from Alba and Parma, and I would like now to go back within some weeks to Alba. But still, I would like to say that right now that we have multilateral organizations like the ones that we see that those are finding it hard to go on. It's not that these networks have replaced that, but we have some bottom-up relationship and diplomacy that grows with all the relationships and friendships we have, and we can go beyond borders, distances, and we can create some sort of action compared to the risks that we see in the world now, considering how divided it is right now. So personally speaking, I've tried to put all of my energy into this project together with my collaborators because I think that in this way Bergamo can have a role, a small role in international diplomacy. We can be friends with other European and non-European countries. And this can really enrich us, I think. Well, dear President Bernabé, you are lucky because you can take care of multiple cities in Italy because we have heritage sites and also applicants for that, both intangible and intangible heritage. So do you think that there could be an active role by cities? Well, first of all, I would like to really say thank you and congrats to the Mayor Gori, not only for this initiative, but also because Bergamo is a virtuous example of integration among various UNESCO designations. So we have heritage sites, then we have creative cities. So Bergamo is a virtuous example of integration among the various initiatives by UNESCO, and I think this is an example also for other cities. Well, the question is, or should be, asked in different ways. So, the relationship among cities, does it have sense? Well, I think it does if it has a goal. The most important objective for humanity right now is sustainability, together with the UN targets. But the UN agenda, at the end of the day, is a mixture, so to say, of all the challenges, great challenges that we face as human beings towards the future for us, for our children, and grandchildren as well. So maybe the challenge that we face is sustainability because cities are 2% of the global surface of our planet, but they produce 70% of garbage, then they consume 60% of energy, and they produce 75% of greenhouse gas emissions. So, if the challenge of sustainability has to be won over, well, then we have to work within the cities. So the collaboration among cities to manage and reach that goal, well, this is key. And here we are talking about Bergamo as a creative city in gastronomy, and gastronomy, as we know, means land, agriculture, breeding. So when we talk about agriculture, we think this is ecologically sustainable and environmentally good, but actually agriculture is one of the major sources of greenhouse gas emissions, both for the water, the water that we see in the countrysides for watering the plants, and also for farming and breeding animals and animal husbandry. Because in some countries, we have seen reactions like the Prime Minister from Holland, Rutte, ended up losing his role because of the policy that he wanted to introduce to reduce farming to end up reducing greenhouse gas emissions. So what I think is that we should try and understand what is the aim of this collaboration among cities. And I think that this is the sustainability of exchanging experiences and sharing ideas, and then also checking all the tools that we have, carry out some interventions, ending up being able to reach the 2030 and 2050 agenda targets. I think this is key. So, sure, changing experiences is great, but this isn't merely for tourism. No, the real aim is to enrich and to exchange ideas on how to make these objectives reality. So the region Lombardy coordinates the UNESCO cities in Lombardy. So this is helping in the cities so that their actions are brought together. So what do you think about that? How do you feel in this role you have? Because you have the capitalized experience. You're lucky or maybe unlucky because you end up being the place to stop at for claims, proposals, and so on. So, what's the behavior of cities in all that? Well, first of all, good afternoon, everybody. I greet you also in the name of Francesca Caruso. She thanks the mayor. She would have loved to be here, but she had another commitment. So, we are gathering point, that's for sure, but an intermediate one because we have to consider the regional government. So, premise, the network concept, that's a strength regardless of all policies on UNESCO heritage sites or creative cities. The idea of network is all over there in all policies. And this is a strength because it's favors all transformation policies, human capital that works and all that. And this also applies to cultural perspective. So we have activated this coordination. We have a coordination group. This has quite a long history, and what we have managed to do was getting to some goals that we wouldn't have been able make realities, not only the mere trivial things like a shared image or same logos and so on, but also actions to value and to recognize also for the public, but for school students and so on. So we carried out a widespread work for schools so that heritage knowledge and skills that are linked to UNESCO heritage, well, those are a key part of school programs, schoolwork, and so teachers and students are focal point for all that. An example is also the fact that this year we have managed to provide a contribution from the Ministry on below 77, so the coordinating project for UNESCO heritage sites. This brings our region with all together with all the other players that we can enrich everybody. So yes, clearly that's enriching for us, but surely we have to take care of all that. We have support that. We have to be motivated. But surely that's the case. And then we have a network not only or merely among cities or lands that are part of the same list, but also among the various lists and also with policies to value the land. So when we have cultural engine that favors all the policies within the area, well, this is a strength, that's for sure. When this is a UNESCO heritage site or also an intangible heritage site, well, this is obviously something more. It's visible, it's recognizable, that's really strong. I cannot really talk about all the impacts from a touristic perspective, but I can give you an inner viewpoint to value all the attractions that we have over here in the region. Thank you so much. What about intangible heritage? Link that, please link that to diplomacy in cities. Please, Mr. Ventura. Sorry, I was using your first name before. Sorry, but I've known him for quite a lot of time. So the intangible heritage. Well, this is transverse. So then this facilitates the union among communities and groups. We were talking about Tokati before. So traditional games are something that bring people together so we can play the same game even when we are far away from a cultural political perspective. So the relationship between cities, creative cities, that's for sure, but also the cities that have urban centers. We would talk about all urban centers, not merely cities. So this is key because we were talking about network and working in a network, then we can have dialogue among those who have UNESCO designation, that's for sure, because with that way we can grow together and we can learn as to the intangible heritage, well, how to carry out some safeguarding and promotion activities, because intangible heritage is really something to preserve. We're talking about school, and we should remember that this is the end of the day, the only element that can safeguard the material heritage. So, as an institute, we try and work on territorial networks. We try and support and facilitate growth and the development of these nets precisely for that. So, this heritage has a role in favoring lands and communities, and so in this way, working on the lands, we can end up avoiding or avoiding elements such as losing population in some areas. Now, Alessio Pascucci, so we're talking about a network of groups of cities. I think you believe in that. I think you believe in the fact that the UNESCO cities, regardless of the title, yes, you are an association for heritage, world heritage, but still, you still think that it is key, right? So thank you for the invitation and thank you for welcoming me here in this incredible city. I think it's a cultural international heritage site, and this is a source of great pride for our country. We were created in 1997 because some local administrator realized how isolated we were on the UNESCO topic, and they also realized how important it was to have a network among common at the time. Reality then we had provinces, regions, cities. So at the end of the day, local places that had a UNESCO website, they said at the time, we were called Associazione UNESCO, now we are called Beni Patrimonio Mondiale, also considering the law
quando
on
ero
how to
sindaco
use the word
di Cerveteri,
UNESCO.
che
When I was
l'Italia e l'Europa
the
fossero
mayor of
legate al loro proprio
Cerveteri, I've
comune e
always
che
thought that
il
Italy and Europe
percorso di
were an
coinvolgimento del territorio e di
area
partenza dal basso fosse
for
indispensabile per
municipalities, and
creare
we had
reti di
to start
comunicazione,
bottom
soprattutto
up
legate alla crescita
and
culturale
create
e all'impatto che
communication
questo ha nei
networks,
territori. Però c'è
especially
un secondo
for
tema, che
culture.
i
But
siti
then
UNESCO
there
sono
is a
molto
second
diversi fra
topic to
loro.
be
Ci sono
mentioned.
siti UNESCO come il
UNESCO
comune di
sites
San
are really
Gimignano che hanno il
different.
proprio
We have
centro
San
storico iscritto alla lista
Gimignano,
patrimonio
for
mondiale, quindi
example,
hanno un impatto
and the
diretto
old
anche
town
nelle
is
scelte
part of
amministrative locali.
the
Ci
list,
sono
so
altri
they have
siti
an
come il comune di
impact on
Cerveteri,
the
dove invece il
decisions. Then
sito è
we have
gestito dalla
Cerveteri, another
sovrintendenza al ministero,
municipality,
perché
for
nel nostro caso è
example,
una
when
necropoli
it's the
gestita
ministry that handles all
in
that,
questo momento dal
because
parco archeologico, insomma da un
it's
soggetto
your
terzo. In
geological
entrambi i casi però c'è
parks,
una
a
grande
third
responsabilità.
party taking care of all that. But
Spesso
still,
a questa
there is a lot of
responsabilità, a questo onere
responsibility
che viene
here,
dato ai
and
sindaci,
this
non
burden,
corrisponde
so to say, is
una
given to
pari
the mayor
capacità di
oftentimes.
manovrazione. E questo
But at
in
the
qualche
same
modo
time,
ancora
they
di
cannot
più
really act
rafforza
as much
l'idea che creare
as
una
they
rete
would
possa
like
essere,
to. And
diciamo,
so, being part of a
indispensabile. Faccio due
network
esempi fra
is
tutti,
key for
uno
all
più
that. And I'll
nazionale e
just
uno
make
più
a couple of
locale. Quello
examples,
nazionale, la legge
a national and
77,
local
che è
one.
l'unica
Law
legge italiana che
77
finanzia i
national,
siti
that's the
UNESCO. In questo
only
momento
Italian law
l'Italia,
on
come immagino tutti
UNESCO
saprete,
heritage sites Italy,
abbiamo
as I
sentito a
think you
volte
all
dire in
know. Well,
televisione che
we have heard
l'80%, il
sometimes in the
70%, il
cities
90% del
that
patrimonio in Italia
80,
sono i numeri un
70,
po'
or
campati in
90%
aria.
of the
Invece l'unico dato
heritage in it
numerico
is in
oggettivo è che
Italy.
siamo una
Well,
nazione con più
those are
alto numero
not
di siti
objective
iscritti alla
numbers.
lista
The only
patrimonio mondiale.
objective
Siamo
thing is
arrivati a
that we are
59 proprio
country
adesso. È un asset
with most
indispensabile per il turista
heritage
straniero
sites
venire in
all
Italia e
over the world,
sapere
and
quali
it's
sono i
an
siti UNESCO e
asset
visitare i siti
for
UNESCO è un
the
asset
foreign
indispensabile. Lo capisce chi
tourists
più di
to
quanto non lo
come to
capisce spesso il
Italy and
turista
to visit
italiano. E
UNESCO
c'è un
sites,
tema di
and
infrastrutture.
foreign
La legge
tourists understand it
77
more than
nasce da
Italian
lavoro
ones.
fatto
And
dalla
as
nostra
to
associazione quando io non ero
infrastructure,
neanche
the
iscritto,
law
quindi non ho nessun
77
merito.
starts
La
from the
legge
work we carried
77
out,
nei momenti di
and this
massimo
law
splendore in Italia ha avuto in
in
finanziaria
that
una cifra che
moment
non ha
in
mai
Italy,
sfiorato i 2
well,
milioni di euro.
it
Se
had
pensate
not
che alcuni siti
more
sono
than
seriali
two
e quindi che ne so, la Val
million
Camonica
euros. So
anche
if
l'anno
you think
prossimo
about
compie
the fact that
45
some
anni, il
areas
sito più antico è
are
lunga 90
serial, such
km,
as
capite con uno
Valca
stanziamento di
Monica,
2 milioni di
that's
euro e non
90
ci sei mai quasi
kilometers,
arrivati ai
well,
2 milioni di euro.
2 million
Sulla legge
euros,
77 è uno
and that's
stanziamento
happened just a couple of
quasi
times. So
un po' che
this
insulta il nostro patrimonio. C'è stato un anno
budget
in cui in
is
Germania
insulting for
il ministro
our
dell'infrastruttura ha
heritage.
stanziato
In
125
Germany, for
milioni di
example,
euro.
it
Ora
was
perché dico questo? Perché
125
le
million
scelte che
euros
facciamo nei
from the
nostri territori
Ministry of
non sono sempre
Infrastructure.
facili.
Why am I
Non
saying
è
that?
detto
Because
che i nostri
choices we
concittadini,
make
i
aren't always
concittadini, i cittadini di
easy. It's
Bergamo
not
siano
give for
contenti
granted
del
that
fatto che il
citizens
sindaco fa
in
una scelta
Bergamo
sul
are
sito UNESCO,
happy
perché
of
spesso
the
per
fact
fare
that
quella
the
scelta deve
mayor
fare un
makes a
sacrificio che può
choice on that
portare a un
UNESCO
cambiamento
heritage site.
diretto nella
Because
vita
for that
quotidiana
choice,
della
he
città.
has to
Faccio
make
un
a
esempio e con questo
sacrifice
chiudo.
and
Io quando
change
sono
the
diventato
city
sindaco
and
non c'era un
the
mezzo
daily life.
pubblico
When
che
I become
portava
a
i turisti
mayor,
dalla
for
stazione
example,
delle
there was
Ferrovie dello
no
Stato
means of
alla necropoli,
transportation
non
from the
c'era.
station to the
Quindi uno arrivava, un
necropolis.
turista arrivava col treno
There
a
wasn't
Cerveteri e
any.
restava
So
nel
a
deserto
tourist that came
e
to
neanche a piedi ci
Cerveteri,
poteva
and then
andare
he
perché
was
erano svariati
basically in the
chilometri.
desert,
Noi abbiamo
and he
deciso di
couldn't
mettere
even
ogni
go on foot
mezz'ora una
because there were a
navetta.
lot of
Per fare questo
kilometers.
abbiamo
So
dovuto
we
sacrificare dei
decided
chilometri
to
di DPL,
put
del
a
trasporto
shuttle
pubblico locale, quindi abbiamo
every
dovuto
30
togliere ai
minutes.
nostri
So we had
concittadini i
to
chilometri con cui
eliminate
andavano a
some other
scuola,
means of transportation.
all'ospedale, al
So the
cimitero.
citizens
Una
had
città,
to
insomma, in
live
cui c'è tanti
without
anziani, no? È
some
anche
means of
un tema
transportation to
delicato.
go
Non
to
c'è stata una
school, to
reazione
the
favorevole.
cemetery,
Cioè questa
or
riduzione del
somewhere else. And
servizio
action
quotidiano ai
wasn't
nostri concittadini
favorable
non è
because
stato
that
visto come l'investimento
reduction
del futuro.
wasn't
Quindi io ho
seen as
sempre
an
cercato di
investment
dire
for the future.
ai nostri
So
ministri
I've
che si sono
always tried
susseguiti
to
con
say to
grande
our
sponda della
ministers,
Commissione UNESCO, perché il presidente Bernabè
with the
è,
support of the
non
UNESCO
perché è qui, però
Commission,
insomma
because
è
the
quello che porta
President
un po' questo
Bernabé, I mean,
faro,
he's here, but still,
spesso
he's really a
diciamo con non con
beacon
la giusta
from that
attenzione da parte
perspective,
diciamo dei
and
nostri governi,
oftentimes he
che
doesn't
non si può
receive
far sì che quando
right
uno diventa
attention
un
from the
sindaco di una città
government. So
UNESCO dice
it
oddio,
can't be
cosa diventa una
possible
città
that when
UNESCO
we
come
are mayor
faccio?
of a
Ecco, ci
UNESCO
deve
city,
essere
then
invece
we
la
have to say,
capacità di
oh my
capire che
God,
lì noi
what should
possiamo
I
cambiare
do?
un
No,
pezzo
we should
non
understand that
soltanto
here
dell'economia, perché
we
poi
have to
se abbiamo
change
questo
part of
approccio che
not
cerchiamo
merely
di
the
rimandare sempre tutta
the
all'economia, che è
economy, because we
importantissimo, ma
always want to go
identitario e
back to the economy.
culturale.
That's important,
Nella
that's for sure,
città,
but
faccio
it's
l'ultimo
also
esempio locale, ma
identity and
perché mi viene più
culture. Let's
comodo
make
raccontare cose che
one
mi sono
last
capitate.
example from a
Io
local
facevo una
perspective
battaglia
because
di
it's
portare a
easier for me to
Cerveteri
tell
due
my
capolavori
story.
che
So we are fighting so that the two Eufronio masterpieces gotten from the Carabinieri, from foreign areas, well, so that those that came back could really come back because they were only Romans. We wanted them to come back to Cerveteri. They are now in Cerveteri and we asked for a loan. We then never gave it back. So right now those are in Cerveteri. So when those two pieces of our history came back, our citizens went to the museum maybe for the first time. It can be trivial maybe for you, but at the end of the day, there was
nel senso
no
che
garbage
qualcuno ha
around the
capito che
museum
quella
in
era
that
casa sua, che
square
quello era un
because
pezzo
people
della sua
realized
storia,
that
era un
that
pezzo
was
della propria
part of their
identità. E
history
questo
and
secondo me è
identity.
la vera
And I think
rivoluzione che
that
si può
this is
fare
the
in
real
in
revolution
questa nazione.
that
Quindi
we
io
can
credo
see
che
in these
il
nations. So
presidente della
I
Commissione UNESCO
think
dovrebbe essere, non dico la più
the
alta, ma
president
tra i
of
più
the
alti
UNESCO
cariche dello
mission
Stato,
could
perché
be
lì
among
ci
one of the highest
ricostruiamo un pezzo e i comuni
roles
devono
in
essere
our
messi nelle
country
condizioni di
because
non
this is
subire
the base of our history
la
and
spada di Damocle di
municipalities
avere
shouldn't end
un
up
sito UNESCO nel proprio territorio, ma di
uh,
sentirsi parte di
feeling
un
that
orgoglio
burden
e
over their
non ai
shoulder. No, they
margini di
should
una
feel
legge 77
proud,
che dà
not
veramente le
just
briciole su questo
relegate
nostro
to
patrimonio.
some
Io
crumbles
ringrazio
from this
Alessio
law, the
Pascucci,
law
però Presidente, a
77.
questo
So thank you,
punto
Alessio Pascucci, but
tiro
President,
subito
right
in
now,
ballo per un
I would
secondo
like
veloce giro di
you
opinioni.
to
Pascucci ha di
say
fatto
something else
detto che
because
l'identità
Pascucci at the
culturale
end of the
è
day
un
said
valore,
that
che
cultural
l'identità
identity is
culturale
a
può essere
value
però anche un
and
vincolo e un
therefore
fardello e
it's important,
quindi
but it could
perché
also be
mai
burden. And so, why
una città che possiede un'eredità che
a
sia
city with
materiale, immateriale, che sia di
immaterial or
città
material
creativa,
heritage,
dovrebbe
creative
arrivare a
city? Well, why
candidarsi
should
per
a
entrare
city
nel
then
patrimonio
apply so that they
dell'umanità,
can
sotto le
become part
molteplici
of
forme che
UNESCO
oggi
heritage
sono
sites among the
disciplinate dal
multiple
trattato a cui
types
l'Italia
that we
aderisce.
have in the
Perché
treaty
insomma
that we
eredità
decided to
o
join? So,
fardello?
is
No,
it
ma
good or
io
bad? Is
penso
it
che
legacy or
l'iniziativa delle città
it burden?
creative sia
So I think that
un'iniziativa
this
che fa
initiative as
seguito
creative
ai due
cities
grandi trattati dell'UNESCO
is a
che
follow-up
riguardano
from
il
the
patrimonio
two major
materiale e il
treaties from
patrimonio
UNESCO on
immateriale
intangible and
e sia
tangible
un'iniziativa
heritage.
che
So I
nasce
think
dalla
this is an
riflessione
initiative
sul
that starts
valore
from
che la
the
cultura, la
reflection on
conoscenza e
the
la
value
creatività
that
ha per lo
culture,
sviluppo della
knowledge,
città.
and
E devo
creativity
dire io
have for the
personalmente, e
development
lo
of the
vedo
city.
anche perché
Personally
c'è
speaking, and I
una
can also
crescente
see that
attenzione e
because
un crescente
we
desiderio
see far
di
more
appartenere
attention
alla
and
rete delle città
desire
creative.
to be
All'inizio
part of
c'erano
that network. In
pochi
the beginning, it was
candidati,
only
adesso
few
invece
applicants,
abbiamo
but
molti
right now
candidati perché
we have
le
a
amministrazioni
lot of them
locali
because
capiscono
local
che il
administrations
valore della creatività e il valore della
understand that
conoscenza che sta
the value of
all'interno delle
creativity and
città
knowledge
è un
within the
valore
cities
che
is
è superiore anche, se vogliamo, a
even
qualsiasi
more
valore
important
materiale e immateriale
than any
che la città possa
intangible or
portare.
tangible
E lo dico
value the
anche in
city can
relazione
provide.
a quello che sta
And
avvenendo oggi. Voi sapete che
I'm
uno dei temi
referring also
più
to what
grandi di cui
happens
si
right now,
discute
because
in
one of the
continuazione è
most
il tema
important topics that
dell'intelligenza
we keep talking
artificiale,
about
del
is
ruolo dell'intelligenza
AI and the
artificiale, del
role of
fatto che
AI,
l'intelligenza
or the
artificiale
fact that
metterà in
AI
discussione la creatività umana,
will
eccetera.
challenge
Ecco, io penso
and
che
put in doubt
ci
our
sia una
creativity as
differenza
human beings. So I
fondamentale
think there is a
fra
key
quello
difference
che è
here
lo sviluppo
between
tecnologico, quindi l'intelligenza artificiale,
technological
e
development,
la creatività
AI,
umana. Una
and
differenza veramente
creativity from human
straordinaria,
beings.
perché
This
come voi
is really
sapete l'intelligenza
extraordinary
artificiale
because,
è il
as you know,
prodotto di una,
AI
una
is the
specie di
product
esercizio
of some
statistico.
sort of statistical
Quando direi la nuova
exercise, let's
intelligenza
say.
artificiale, quella
So
che è stata
when we
inventata
talk
un
about the
po'
new
da
AI that
Amazon e da
got
Google
invented by
negli
Amazon
anni
and Google
primi
in
anni 10
the
del secolo, eh, quello che è
2010,
successo è
more or
che si
less,
è
well,
scoperto
what
che la
happened was that
statistica riusciva a produrre delle
we
cose che la
discovered
logica
that
non riusciva a
statistics could
produrre. E
produce
poi
something
mettendo
that with
assieme delle
logics we
parole
couldn't
si
make.
riuscivano a scoprire
So
delle
by
regole per
blending,
cui
by mixing
uno
words, we could
prevedeva
discover rules
sulla base di
so
una
that
parola o una frase
one
che cosa sarebbe stata
person
la
was
parola o la
could
frase
predict the
successiva.
following
Quindi
word of
l'intelligenza
sentence
artificiale
based on the first word of
prevede
sentence.
delle
So
sequenze
with
di parole,
AI, we
prevede
can
delle sequenze
consider
di
some
frasi, ma
sequences of
non le
words and
capisce.
sentences,
L'intelligenza
but the
umana è
AI doesn't understand
insuperabile
those.
perché
Human
l'intelligenza
intelligence
umana è
can
fatta dai rapporti
be
sociali,
one can't be
è
one
un
over because
sistema
it's
che
made
nasce
of social
dall'interazione tra le
relationship.
persone.
It's a system that
L'intelligenza
starts from the
umana prende
interaction among
spunto dal
people.
fatto
Human
che
intelligence
l'interazione tra le persone, all'interno soprattutto degli
depends
agglomerati
on the fact
urbani,
that the interaction
produce
among people,
conoscenza,
especially in cities, well,
produce
it creates
emozioni, produce
knowledge,
capacità di
emotions,
intuire relazioni
the
fra
skill to
cose e fra persone.
guess what
Quindi
relationships
se
among
uno
things
guarda al
and people are.
futuro,
So if we
trova
look at the
che
future, we end
la
up
funzione
realizing
dell'intelligenza
that
umana
Human
sia il
intelligence
naturale sviluppo della relazione
is
sociale
the
che si crea
natural
all'interno della
development
città.
of the
Quindi
social relationship
creatività
we
e
have within the
città
city.
sono
So,
due parole
creativity
che
and
in
city
qualche modo nascono assieme.
are
La
two words
civiltà
that
negli ultimi
come together. For
12.000 anni
example,
dopo la fine della
civilization in
glaciazione
the last
è nata grazie al fatto
12,000
che la
years,
gente si è
well, this
concentrata
was
nelle città.
created
Quindi
because people
io
stayed
vedo in
in the
questo
cities.
esercizio
So I
dell'UNESCO,
see
cioè
in this exercise by UNESCO,
le città creative che oramai
so
hanno,
the creative cities
hanno
that
quasi 300 soggetti che appartengono a
are
questo
almost
network. In
300
Italia
now within the
sono solo
network. In
13, diciamo che
Italy,
si
there are
confronta
only 13,
con
and
i 59 siti del patrimonio mondiale e
different if
c'è
you
ancora
compare that to the
molto terreno
59
da
World
percorrere.
Heritage
Io penso
sites, and
che
there is
io sarò
still a lot
contento
to
quando
do.
ci saranno
And I think I'll be happy
59
when
città
we'll have
creative in
59
Italia,
creative cities in
mentre
Italy.
penso che
While
sui
I think
siti del
that
patrimonio
on
mondiale noi dobbiamo fare una
heritage
riflessione
sites,
molto
well, we
attenta,
have to think
perché
a lot
fino
because
adesso siamo andati alla
up to
rincorsa
now
del
we have
primato di
been
cui dobbiamo essere
following
giustamente
the climate,
orgogliosi,
and we
ma
should
il
be proud of
primato
that.
non
We
è
have a
che uno
record, but
persegue il primato
it's
del
not that
patrimonio
we
mondiale.
just
Il-
aim
Tra
at
l'altro
leading
molti
in
dei
World
problemi
Heritage sites
all'interno
because
delle città
many of the
patrimonio
problems that
mondiale
we have within
sono
World
derivati
Heritage
dal
cities, well,
sovraturismo
those
che
rise
sta
from the
creando dei gravi
excessive
problemi in
tourism
città
that is
come
creating
Firenze, Roma
multiple
e
problems
altre
in cities like
città
Florence,
d'arte
Rome, and many
italiane
other
che sono
cities
invase da
in
turisti
Italy
e che
get
consumano la
flooded
città.
by
Quindi
tourists that
ecco,
are
io
really
dico
eating up the cities.
che
So what I say is that
l'esperienza delle città creative
the
è
experience
un'esperienza
of creative cities
estremamente
is
importante,
extremely
forse la più
important.
importante fra le iniziative
Maybe
UNESCO,
it's
anche
even
se
the
quella
most
che ha
important
meno visibilità.
of the
E
UNESCO
quindi ancora
initiatives,
una
even
volta
if
devo dire
that's
che tutto quello
the
che
least
viene
visible
fatto
one. So
per rilanciare, per
everything we do
approfondire i
to
rapporti, per
relaunch
creare
and
questo network,
to improve
crea un
relationships and create this
avanzamento
network,
nella
oh, this
conoscenza, crea un avanzamento nella
makes
creatività,
knowledge and
crea un
creativity
avanzamento nella
progress,
civiltà e
and
lascia al
the
futuro
same applies
quello
to
che
civilization. And so
i nostri predecessori hanno lasciato a noi col patrimonio
it gives to
mondiale.
the future
Grazie.
what our predecessors gave
Grazie
to us for
infinite,
the
è
World Heritage
difficile
Sites.
aggiungere qualche cosa a questo forte endorsement per le città creative.
Thank you so much.
Do
No,
la
it's
parola
really
ai
very
colleghi
difficult. I
regionali
mean, to
invece
add
sul
something to this
il nostro
endorsement.
Lombardia.
Can
Oggi abbiamo
we
con
can
noi
we talk about
Como,
our
che
own
è un'altra
future here in our
città
region,
del capoluogo
Lombardy?
lombardo,
Today we have
con
Como, which is
un'istituzione
another
di
creative city here from
ecologici
region
e di
Lombardy. So,
tenimento, di
can
iniziative
we have
legate alla
many other
creatività, al di là del
opportunities
riconoscimento
having
del
to
titolo
do with
creativo.
creativity? I mean, apart from
Il tema è un po'
acknowledging
quello
the let's say
dell'ordine che
creative
riferisce all'eredità
label.
culturale, è un'opportunità
You know,
o è un
the
threat per la nostra civiltà?
cultural
È
heritage is an
sicuro che
opportunity,
dobbiamo
but
fare questo
maybe it is
mestiere,
also a
evidentemente è
constraint.
un'opportunità, però
And of course,
spesso
I
gli
think it's an
amministratori
opportunity,
locali non ne
otherwise I
accolgono
wouldn't
un
be here.
piccolo. Basti pensare a
Quite
questo
often,
qua,
local
i piccoli
administrators
Bergamo non è una città
think
grande,
that
ovviamente
it's a
scale sono,
constraint.
ma
Now,
in
if you
tutti i casi, per
consider
esempio, ci sono dei
quite a large
patrimoni
town, or maybe in those
riconosciuti in
cases where
paesi
you
come
have
Val
some heritage,
Camonica piuttosto
which is, for
che
example, in some
in
little
San
villages
Giorgio,
in Val Camonica
quello
or on
crea agli
the very
amministratori
top of a
locali una
mountain, well,
difficoltà e
for
quindi
local administrators, that
anche
this
nel caso
is
delle città
difficult to
creative
manage, if you will. So,
ritorna il tema
also in those
della
cases where you
forza.
have
Noi
creative
come regione
cities, I mean, the
evidentemente non siamo una
network
città,
topic
noi abbiamo
comes
un
back.
ruolo di governo
Now,
che è diverso, però quello che
we
forse
have a
può essere il
government
nostro
role,
valore
if you will.
aggiunto è dare la forza
So
della rete, la
maybe
forza
the
del
value added
sistema
we have
e la
is to
forza
give
poi di
extra
intercettare, come
strength
tanti
to the
dicono,
entire
quando si
system so
parla,
that
tutte
just
le
like many
possibili
neurons,
connessioni.
talking to each other,
Città
we can
creative della
establish new
gastronomia nel
connections.
momento in
For
cui
example,
l'Italia
the
si
gastronomy
appresta a
creative cities
progettare una
right
candidatura
now,
sulla
when
cucina
Italy
italiana,
is
per
almost
esempio,
ready
se questo
to,
dovesse essere il nostro
to
futuro,
work,
è
if
chiaro
you
che
will, or to put forward an idea
sono
or
i
an
principali
acknowledgement or
testimoni
a sort of a
le
label on
nostre punte
Italian cuisine,
diamante, quindi
well,
è
this
chiaro
may
che
be a great idea
ci
because this
sta
is one of the
della
highlights of
gastronomia
the
nella sua eccellenza in
Italian
quel
culture.
caso. Noi
So once
forse
again,
come Regione Lombardia
excellent
stiamo lavorando
gastronomy.
da
So
tanto
this is
tempo
worth a label, if you
sul
will.
riconoscimento del patrimonio
In our
alimentare
regional
artigianale.
authorities, we are
Quindi anche
working
questo
in
diventa poi
order
una
to
rete
acknowledge
abbastanza
and
filiera,
recognize
no? Nel
the
senso
food
che
culture
partiamo
from the
dalle
Alps. This
conoscenze,
is
dalle
not a network, it's
tradizioni
sort
di
of a supply chain. So
coltivazione,
we
di
start from
allevamento,
knowledge.
di
We
prodotti
know how to
particolari, di
till the land. We
particolari
know how to make
tecniche
products. So
di
we know how to
produzione
implement
per
special
poi arrivare
production
al beneficio
techniques.
sulla tavola di
But
queste
then, of course,
tecniche.
we have
Quindi
to use
è
all of
chiaro che
these
come
techniques
regione noi dobbiamo
all the way
tessere
to the
appunto
table,
queste
if you will.
connessioni.
So
Sono
from
connessioni
farm
che
to
danno
fork. So we
forza
have to
alla
connect
vita
all of these connections. And again, I think that these connections do help the strongest administrations, but also the smallest towns and the small administrations, so to say. In some cases, I really have to, debunk some myths. Some people say, well, UNESCO acknowledgement that this translates into so much money, a flow, a river of money. But no, you receive responsibilities, accountability, a sort of a burden on your shoulders, so to say, because then you have to manage creativity. And well, in that case, a network is so important. I mean, there's exchange of skills and best practices, which of course just helps, improve the general situation. Leandro, it's your turn. Do you want to follow up before having the conclusions from the mayor and before giving the floor to the many guests from creative cities? Thank you. Well, I'd like to share some examples with you. I mean, we're talking about, the possibility to get into the UNESCO heritage list. It can be tangible, intangible heritage. This doesn't make any difference. But many people think they will reach an incredible target just by being acknowledged. Well, maybe they don't understand that the acknowledgement, or the so-called approval, is but a starting point. And this is again a starting point in terms of creating new development opportunities. So UNESCO basically offers us constraints, and this is the foundation to create developments. Now, this happens for intangible, but also for tangible heritage items. Now, I remember, the attempt from Mantua and close by Sabbioneta in order to, well, work on the, dossier. So after getting Mantua and Sabbioneta into the heritage list, there were so many different points of view from the mayor of Sabbioneta and the mayor of Mantua. So the mayor of Sabbioneta thought that that was a constraint, leading to, let's say, well, a negative impact for Sabbioneta. In Mantua, the idea was different. Now they are a network, and the system now works very well. It's working very well. I mean, there are plenty of seamless exchanges between Mantua on the one side and close by Sabbioneta on the other. In my opinion, thinking of the future perspective is always very important. Mr. Pascucci, 30 seconds for you, okay? We have to comply with the UNESCO timing, if you will. So there will be plenty of presentations, so strong and filled with contents. Of course, we have, repeatedly told our foreign friends to comply with the time schedule. Now, I think that beauty will save us. Now, before coming here for the first time, I had no idea on, how much Bergamo would impact in my life. You see places, you sort of encounter, locations, and they turn into sources of creativity and deep inspiration. So this is the starting point, in my opinion, of all what we do. We don't have to forget that Article 1 from UNESCO says that we exchange science and knowledge because what we want is a world made of peace. UNESCO is the real protagonist of what's happening around us today. Maybe we forget that sharing culture and knowledge is fundamental. I really would like to thank this city, Bergamo. Thank you so much because you keep giving me so much. This has to become an example. And I came here because this was a UNESCO site. I mean, I expected nice things and I found marvelous, wonderful things. This is a source of inspiration for me, and I think that this is a sort of a guideline for us. So, mayors say that this is a burden, maybe a task, but this is a privilege because once again, we have to protect, our cultural heritage list. Oh, well, this is great. Privilege is the key word. Well, the privilege of being the mayor of a city that's in UNESCO list, and then you have in the World Heritage, a creative city, and then we also have, the biosphere here in the province between Bergamo and Brescia in the Alto Sabino and Valle Camonica. You're right. I almost forgot the so-called MIP. Well, this is the right word, privilege, a huge privilege. And it was also a privilege, I mean, to take the city by hand. And I did this, 3 times. I mean, the Venetian ramparts included into the World Heritage List, and then gastronomy, UNESCO Creative City, and then this is a designation because in this case, I mean, we haven't applied, if you will. I mean, we just put forward our, idea, but then we sort of filled this name with plenty of contents. So in these 3 opportunities, I see the answer to your question. So why should a city do this? Well, I think that the process is very important, maybe not the outcome, not the result. This is a driver, so a booster, if you will, of economic, cultural, systems, relationship building, networking building within our communities. So we reached those targets just because teamwork did work very well. And of course, we have many different types of contributions, some in history, science, of course, I'm talking about heritage and creative cities. So they go back to the cultural activity, the cultural city, if you will, making it visible and precious. But, at the same time, we also made an effort in terms of enhancing the beauty of the ramparts, I mean, the big walls around the city center. And, what we wanted was exactly this, item. I mean, going back to one of the traits of our own identity in the city. And we did something bigger than this. So not just the city, in the, traditional meaning, but I mean, city is basically a sort of a capital, including the, communities and the territories we have in the mountains. So I'm also talking about the dairy products, excellent dairy products. In Europe, this province offers the largest number of so-called DOP cheese. And once again, so protected denomination of origin cheese, if you will. Well, this situation is quite difficult now for the so-called internal, so mountain communities or mountain areas. Now, UNESCO is urging cities to become protagonists. But, at the same time, what is very important and very useful is to understand the role that cities may have in terms also of the provinces. I mean, the rest of the county or the rest of the territories around cities. So this is to follow up on what Franco Bernabé said at the very beginning with very important figures. You really have to consider the, the pace of the cities and then the pace of, the countryside. Well, there's a big gap. And we have a lack of population. We have people leaving the countryside, moving into the city. There's a sense of, distance, of feeling far away, sort of, lack of safety in the, mountain populations. You may also have a sort of a social political interpretation of the gap or distance between the cities on the one side and the, the culture and the, atmosphere which is typical of, areas which are so far away from the metropolitan areas. This is one of our own responsibilities. Now, of course, we don't make cheese in the city of Bergamo, but once again, the city, if you will, is a possible potential incubator, if you will. So what we do here is awareness raising in terms of all of these assets. Here we have all the skills required to enhance the product, including storytelling, which is what you need to make sure, people know about what we can do. So we need to make sure people know about our dairy culture now and in the past, just like a showcase, just like a shop window, so to say. And today, with this Congress, we started a new edition of Forme. Now, this is now an international exhibition and Congress in order to promote the local dairy industry. Now, at the same time, we have created a commercial event, if you will. And once again, this is also an international event, and this is where we started from. As we said before, we started, creating new relationships with the cities of Alba and Parma, and now this kind of, collaboration is going on. I'm sure cities have to, let's say, help extra urban territories. I think this is a major role that we have, and I really hope my colleagues can do the same in their cities. Thank you.
Vi invito ad accomodarvi. Sì.
May I ask you to leave the chairs free for for the next panel? And by the way, thank you so much for highlighting the meaning of process. Creativity and innovation, which is basically the topic, so the key highlight of the Congress today. Can I have now
Eduardo Seijo Solis from Merida, focal point of UNESCO Creative City of Gastronomy of Merida, Mexico. Please.
Ciao, mi sentite?
Sì.
Proverò a fare questa presentazione in italiano.
trying in Italian, and I do apologize for my mistakes and possible lack of vocabulary. So I haven't spoken Italian for so many years, 12 years. Really would like to thank Claudio and the city of Bergamo for this very kind invitation. And this is wonderful hospitality, and this is once again an incredible venue. Thank you so much for this great opportunity. So before starting, let me share with you, a couple of words. Some very interesting ideas have just been, expressed by the previous panel. So I totally agree with the contents of the previous presentations in terms of the strength of networking, but also in terms of responsibilities that cities have. We also have major opportunities, and I mean we can really improve or increase. Once again, let me repeat this. Maybe you couldn't hear. Increase and improve relationships in terms of responsibilities that we all have, including the knowledge of global issues. And now, in terms of the gastronomy cluster, let me say that this year, so in 2023, we have, recorded something like 245 different projects and initiatives. Now, of course, this is not, actually part of my speech, so it was not, let's say, foreseen. Anyway, let me share this with you. 245 projects and or initiatives from many different towns in the 5 continents, a total of 49 gastronomy cities. So these projects include diverse topics, for example, research, education, all the way to tourism, also touching upon economic development, without forgetting food security, which is, if you will, sort of, food self-sufficiency, and also economic development, cultural identity. So there are so many different initiatives. So this is one of the key strengths of this network, and we need to express this. We need to communicate all of this. So every single city, as we said before, really have to find this kind of idea and even projects, so as to continue with these projects as well. Once again, we need to do this for our societies, but also for a better world, a better planet. So I really would like to thank you for this message. And now I have my very short presentation. His name is The Long March of the Mayan Bees. Now, these are pictures taken by a local photographer. These are our bees. So this is not honey bees, this is not European bees, this is native bees. Now, these bees have been, inhabiting our region for millions of years. They make honey and wax. I hope this is the right word in Italian. Definitely it is. And they are, at risk of extinction. So this is why there's a long march. Okay, then let me share with you a couple of words on the context. So this is where we are, 9,036 kilometers to Bergamo. We are in the tropical rainforest region So Merida is in the Yucatan area, and which is basically in the Caribbean Sea, in the Gulf of Mexico. So this is Latin America, of course. And as for our ecosystem, it is once again tropical rainforest ecosystem. It's very humid, usually very high temperatures, but this is also the homelands of the Maya people that everyone knows. And we are one of the most important honey producers in Mexico. And maybe you know that Mexico is one of the leading producers of honey in the world. Now, these are ancient Maya books. Now, this is an example that you can find in Madrid. And here they explain the process. I mean, how to get honey from bees. So the Melipona beechae is the name of this bee with no sting. So these are stingless bees. The local population is so good at, getting this wax and the honey made, produced by these bees. And this is what's been going on for many, many years. All of this is very important for our society. It's a very important pollinator, Bees are so important pollinators. They're very important for our diet, our health, and it was also a very important element in terms of trade or commerce. So this is something you can see in our books, but also in our towns. You can see here Chichen Itza, Tulum. You can find some, bees painted or depicted on these monuments. Now, there's been a big, big change in this region with the arrival of Europeans, so the Spaniards. This is the original text of Lambda, written in 1570, and then this is what Lambda wrote.
They do not make the honeycomb like ours, but rather certain little bladders. They raise them in the forest, in the cavities of trees, and they obtain a lot of wax and very good honey. This is questa sarebbe il racconto più importante fatto nella.
So once again, this is the most important description of this kind in this region, talking about the production again of honey and wax. Now, this was followed, if you will, by the arrival of, Apis mellifera, so the European bees. Now, in this case, we have a higher production, higher yield in terms of honey. So there was a rapid, quick-paced replacement or substitution, sort of, removing the native production. Then the European bees took over. And this triggered a dramatic reduction in production of native Melipona. So from 100% of production down to 2% of production only. And so not only did we experience the loss of production, but also the loss of a form of life. Also, let's say it's a social life. I mean, a loss of traditions. And let me now share with you the Melipona bee project, because we would like to recover, this type of bees and, as a consequence, honey. So we have three elements in our societies. We have the producers, then of course we have the civil society, let's say the public sector, because of course people have understood the problem. And of course, so we have the authorities in our city and in the state that cooperated so much with us. Now, as for the project, I have to say that we have a key target, if you will. The main objective is, of course, environmental sustainability. Once again, bees, as you know, are the most important and best pollinators. And this is what you can find exactly in our region, so they increase biodiversity. We also have to, let's say, help the Maya communities in this region. And this is also very important for female workers, so to give jobs to women. This, of course, increases, let's say, our, turnover, so to say. I mean, this is great in terms of, food, but also for your health. The so-called, sustainable tourism. And of course, tourism means money for us, economic development. We have small groups of people working, living in these small communities. There's been an incredible leap forward in terms of capacity building. So again, the capacity, but also the skills that have been, let's say, taught to local communities in order to do networking. Of course, economic development, which is a consequence of all of these efforts. And well, last but not least, we've been able to preserve cultural identities. We've been able to enhance the value of traditions. So this is our product. So this honey is a top quality honey. And so now we have 21 families living on bees, so to say, in the city of Merida. But we have 250 families in the Yucatan region, 675 liters, which is not much. But if you consider the entire region, this quantity, of course, goes up. This is the type of style of production, if you will, in the forest. Now, quite recently, FAO described our Maya traditional production as agricultural heritage, if you will. So honey is included into this production system. Let me now talk about next steps very briefly. This is a call, if you will. So we invite all of the creative cities in our network to work together. We need partners, so we need, members in order to have the FAO Codex Alimentarius. And this is also great in terms of respecting Mexican standards and regulations. So what we need is taxonomy. So a taxonomic study in order to show FAO that, first of all, this insect is a bee. Then we need a sort of a chemical study in order to show that the product of these bees is honey, because apparently, we don't have, let's say, serious studies done on these bees, so we cannot reach international markets. So we're looking for partners in order to, create all of these studies together. So, for example, university students, and then, of course, we will keep implementing our project on a local, national, and international level. We've been very successful. So all this honey is sold once again either nationally or internationally, so our families can see an immediate result out of the project. Thank you.
Grazie mille, Eduardo.
Thank you so much, Eduardo. I'm thinking right now about at least two projects here in Italy that could blend together with this one. I cannot see Gabriele. Normally he's with us, but Bipa who know it, for example. So a project about bees in the city, and Bergamo here is part of international network with creative cities and also other cities in the European Union, and also maybe Nadia Ghisalberti, our favorite entomologist from the Nature Science Museum, so that we can understand that those bees are really bees and they produce honey. So what did we ask our friends from creative cities? Well, to bring specific examples that could be replied, some sort of formats. They can show how they interpret the idea of creative city and how we can share that so that other cities can also custom this experience.
Colleen Swain from San Antonio. She is the focal point of San Antonio Creative City for gastronomy, not only focal point, but also deputy coordinator for 2023 and coordinator for 2024 of our cluster. So good luck for next year as coordinator, and thank you for being with us. And Colleen and Eduardo will be involved on Sunday on a local project becoming international with Mais Spinato di Gandino, and an international project called Pueblo del Mais that we are trying to get married in order to have more daughters and sons. Thank you, Colleen. She's talking to us about creatively telling your story.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Claudio and Bergamo, for hosting us here. We've had a lovely experience and look forward to more and talking about Pueblos del Maíz. I am the director of the World Heritage Office in the city of San Antonio. Oops, this is the wrong.
This is the wrong one?
But I can talk about Pueblos del Maíz
You can
instead.
talk whatever you like.
So I'll talk about this. So Pueblos del Maíz is a project that was actually the brainchild of Eduardo and Dr. Mabry from Tucson to talk about corn, because corn is a key ingredient in the Americas, but also corn, we've learned, is something that you grow in Gandino, a special kind. And now that as I've traveled, I've seen that corn is really, it's traveled the world. So through Pueblos del Maíz, we hope to do multiple things. In San Antonio, one of our key core components is the preservation of traditional knowledge. And this is an event that we do every year in conjunction with Tucson and Puebla and Mérida. And we have chef exchanges. And so we have done free community events where we bring in chefs from other cities to demonstrate their dish made with maíz. And then we've had paid events that have raised money for special programs. We have a library, a special collections library. We have actually the largest collection of Mexican cookbooks in North America. And through one of these events, we raise funds for that library. Again, preservation of culinary heritage. We have free community workshops, and we bring in our chefs. We'll often have chefs go to UTSA Library and look at recipes from the 18th century, 17th century, and reinterpret those. Our chefs, the youth, educating our youth about our culinary heritage is very important. And so we have ambassador chefs that will go to the high schools that have culinary programs and work with the students on the different recipes that you can make with maíz. Also, a component of our program is that we support local businesses. And the way that we do this is we do a call to our local restaurants to do a dish for the month of May. All the 4 cities get together. We celebrate this during May. And we go and take a photo of that dish, and then we list them on our website, and we promote to the community to go support these local restaurants who are making dishes with maíz. And that ice cream is a corn ice cream that is actually made by a Filipino restaurant in San Antonio. This year, we did a collaboration with one of our local breweries. They put masa in the beer to make the beer. Mérida and Tucson made a beer the previous year before, and so we hope to continue this collaboration. So you can already see there's lots of opportunities for partnership with this area and the other cities that are engaged. Again, reaching out to our senior community, keeping track of those heritage recipes. We went to our senior centers and asked them to write down those recipes that they had made with corn. And then those recipes were collected, and then they are archived at our Special Collections Library, the University of Texas at San Antonio, so that those recipes are preserved. And this is a very difficult task. You wouldn't think it is difficult, but it is hard to get people to write down their recipes and to share them. Another component that we've done with Pueblos del Maíz, again, engaging our youth, and another creative category is having a film contest. Every 2 years, we have a film contest, and the categories are 14 to 17 and 18 to 21. And the students submit a film, and they are more creative than I would have ever imagined. They come up with these wonderful ideas. They've gone out to cornfields, and they have filmed those, and they've filmed people making recipes. So it's quite a great program. They get an award. for winning the contest. And so this is a way to engage our young people in Pueblos del Maíz. And then, of course, we do an annual report, and we, this past year, focused heavily on the programming for Pueblos del Maíz. And so this is a program, we'll actually be talking about it in the coming days in Gandino as part, in order to recruit more cities, because we know that corn has traveled from the Americas to Europe and into even Asian countries, anyone that was touched by the Spanish, and has become this worldwide ingredient that we all use. And that concludes the presentation on Pueblos del Maíz.
Thank you so much, Colleen. I think that Colleen perfectly showed what our mayor told us before. Bergamo, as creative city, is working together the territory with the friends from Gandino in order to create an international partnership with Merida, Mexico, and San Antonio, United States. That means that it's possible, and it's also important to share knowledge and to share also partnership and friendship among cities. Now I'm inviting Bergen to talk about a wonderful and interesting program. Bergen has a 13-year planning about food until 2030, and please come on up. And it's so important that the city decides to choose food as one of the main action plan for the development of the quality of life of the city. So we are really interested in listening what Bergen is doing about food and creativity. Thank you, Ma. Thank you, Mona.
Thank you for the introduction, and thank you all, and thank you especially to the UNESCO Creative City of Bergamo for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here with you today, and it's been wonderful to see the area of Bergamo. Today's topic is feeding innovation through creativity. And in the city of Bergen, we have chosen to interpret creativity and innovation in a wider range. We have chosen to talk about a project we have had on inclusion. But first, some words about the city of Bergen's philosophy on working with food. The city of Bergen works broadly with gastronomy. And on the left, there, you can see Bergen municipality's wide food strategy, endorsed by Bergen City Council in 2019. Bergen's food strategy goes hand in hand with UNESCO Creative City of Gastronomy project, the last report, which you can see on the right there. So we look at food as an important tool to develop our city in a sustainable way. Food is relevant to everybody. It concerns a large range of topics, from business development and education to culture and health for all citizens. Not only nutrition, but also joy of life, and today's topic from us, inclusion. And looking at inclusion, we believe that food can be used as a powerful tool to create connection between people, to create community, belonging, understanding, and empathy, and to combat loneliness and exclusion, and to create pride, identity, and empowerment. So one project that Bergen City and local partners did on inclusion that we are proud of is this Bergen West Burger in 2020 and 2021. The Bergen West district is highlighted here on the map, and the project Bergen West Burger was created to use food to make positive changes in a part of Bergen with socio-economical challenges. Many low-income families with kids who don't participate in school activities. And the idea was to give these kids a meaningful, fun and social offering for their after-school and vacation time. And at the same time, give more knowledge about food experiences and nutritious and sustainable food. So the idea was, let's make a competition for the Bergen West kids. Who can make the best Bergen West burger, and what should the official Bergen West burger be? And as you can see on the picture, the kids got some help and guidance, not from anyone, but from Mr. Kristoffer Håtuft, who is Bergen's Michelin chef and the owner of Michelin restaurant in Bergen called Lysverket. And we'll get back to his role. So, the key elements of the project, which was developed in steps, looks like this. First, we had food workshops, which was after school, and was for kids in the 4th to 7th grade. And it was also in the school vacations. Then we had food shops in the weekends for the whole family. And this was in the youth house in the Bergen West area. Then we launched a city district campaign, and this was also for kids of 4th to 7th grade in this area. We promoted the competition through the schools and the local mall, and we used banners and screens to get the message through. And we had the jury led by the chef, Mr. Håtuft, who then chose the top 3 burgers. And the whole of Bergen West population were allowed to vote for the winner. And the winner, which you can see on the picture here in the middle, was invited to Kristoffer Håtuft's restaurant with her whole class, and she and Håtuft then made together the dish that she won with. So the key, and I can also add actually here, there was 1,200 votes which came in, which is quite a high amount for this area. It's not so high in population. And the 3 finalists were Isabel's taco burger, which then was the winner. We had Oscar's chili burger, and there was Alexandra's salmon burger, because as you know, we are also known for salmon and seafood produce in Norway. And Isabel, she said, very many people like tacos, and very many people like burgers, and I thought that the 2 could fit nicely together. So yeah, back to the key elements of the project, and this is what we did after the project was finished during the contest and the jury. And now I cannot get the next. Here. Yeah. Yes, there we are. Yeah. Thank you. So we also made the Bergen West cookbook, and where the kids from Bergen West had experimented with creating signature dishes from Bergen West area. And also, of course, the Bergen West burger was in this cookbook. We also had tote bags, yeah, and then the next one. We had tote bags, and both the cookbook and the tote bags were given away to all the participating school pupils, and also to the locals at the different shopping mall. And there were also additional activities by a local grocery store, and also different open pop-up activities in the Bergen West district, at schools and malls, and this was also for all ages. Let's see. Yeah, that's this one. Yeah. So then we can go further to the different results from the report and the key takeaways. So the kids experienced a lot of joy and food experiments, and they felt empowered. They were happy with friends in a positive and social arena. They experienced participation and involvement. They got knowledge about their own, but also new and other food cultures. It had a positive, it had a positive influence at home. Yeah, there we go. And number 6 here, engagement. It was pride and belonging to the district. It gave a positive reputation of the city department. It gave pride to their hometown and identity. And it was cool for them, the kids, and probably the adults as well, to cooperate with Mr. Håtuft. And we had great collaboration with local partners in both visibility, getting ownership, and also with financing the project. And the most important takeaway was that the collaboration with the schools, this was a great door opener and a way to reach out and get directly into the contact with the kids. Yeah, so that was it from us, and I hope it was to inspiration for you all, and I thank you for your time and for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you, Mona. As you see, involvement of the population, of schools, of children is very, very important. It's a kind of project we all can try to manage in our cities according to the specific tradition and opportunities of our city. That's what we mean with networking in the UCCN for gastronomy cluster. Now I give the floor to Raquel Puente-Robles from Burgos. Why Burgos is here, for instance? Because Raquel, yes, comes from a very important, interesting, and also ambitious city. We know that you are trying to apply to become European capital of culture. So that means that creative cities love to work on different goals at the same time. Raquel is going to talk to us about Burgos and the evolution that's inspiring gastronomy. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudio. Sorry, because I'm Spanish, I try to speak in Italian as well as my colleague Eduardo, but I forgot some of my Italian. I have to spend more time here. I studied some years ago and I capisci practically tutti, but
I understand everything.
Sorry about that, but later if you want to ask me something, you can ask me in your language, okay? And sometimes maybe I speak something in Spanish. I prepared a short presentation, maybe it's long, because you maybe are tired. I try to be shorter. I don't know so much of the audience that knows the city of Burgos. Some of you don't know where we are, because I can put a video or not, it depends. First of all, thank you to be here. It's not the first time we are in this meeting. We were in the worst part in one of the last edition in the year 2020. It was a virtual meeting, and we realized that the importance of this meeting for Bergamo and for the creative cities also. In the group of creative cities, this is one of the best known meetings and also helps us to improve our projects. We were in the 20th in the pandemic edition, was a teacher of the University of Burgos, where we work together. Today, I try to translate what we are working now, and inspired with this title of Feeding Innovation, we bring to us an example of a private enterprise, a private example, but I think it shows how our project inspires to improve our chefs in their gastronomy they offer in the city. I put this video, but I think I'm going to stop it because I don't know. Only to relax a little bit. This is my city. Yes, and then now we not know each other a little bit better. For Alba, it's the third time I think David saw this video because we were in Alba too in the festival and we made it for you. And this is a reason to start because we are part of the UNESCO sites, direct or indirect, and we are part of the UNESCO Creative Cities since 2015. The city has been committed to this creative specialty since being selected as a Spanish capital of gastronomy in the 2013. As a member of the UNESCO network, we aim to raise awareness of the value of local cuisine and types of cuisines worldwide. Belonging to the UNESCO Creative Cities is a door for us to come in to share these different experiences with other cities. Till 2015, we continue working in the goals of the development that you can see there as a social industry, science, and gastronomy that is inspired by the research of the archaeological sites of Atapuerca. Here you can see the importance of the industry in our sector. Even Burgos is a touristic place. It's also an international center of several industry. Here we are placed. It's not far from the north of Spain. Now we are very well communicated with the north, with Bilbao and Vitoria now. And here are our sites that are part of the UNESCO sites, like the cathedral that is protected also, Gothic Cathedral, the Camino de Santiago, and that the last one, but not the least, that I am going to explain a little bit more because inspired our project of gastronomy. This is the archaeological sites of Atapuerca. These excavations have meant that the city is at present the world reference in studies of human evolutions. Thanks to Burgos' proximity to the archaeological sites of Atapuerca Mountains, just only 15 kilometers away, this exceptional enclave distinguished the city's candidature, making it reference point studying human evolution that was also recognized by UNESCO, that this was declared in the year 2000. The importance and magnitude of the archaeological dig in these mountains, protected as UNESCO heritage, is a call from the past for all of us. Burgos changed a little bit his mind to be a cultural place and furthermore an archaeological site where people of all over the world came to our city to discover more and more how we were 100 million years ago. Atapuerca is well known because was discovered the first human being in Europe. I don't know, I see your faces, but I think I surprised you a little bit. That inspired our project and also to work together with the university. In the way that we are like a laboratory of human evolution. The city and the area surrounding are creative gastronomic tourism destination, which dynamize the economy and protect the traditional cultural heritage. Burgos plays a project that concerns humankind as a species of the services of the UNESCO network. This is the example you find in the city. This is the center and of this spirit of human evolution. This is in the city center and it's a Human Evolution Museum. It is related also with the National Research Center that is the unique in Spain, I think unique in Europe, the researching of the human evolution. The Atapuerca Foundation helps also in the management of this museum and also for the visitors of the area. It's also very involved in getting educational materials and information about the museum's events to the public. With both the foundation, the Atapuerca Foundation and the university, we work together in the projects for the creative city of the gastronomy in Burgos. This is part of the museum. This is a brain that you can see there. The University of Burgos is the important role for us. Now it's a part of the heart, and we work hand in hand with the museums to make courses and invest in creativity, arts education from the youngest to the oldest, and as I said, the researchers of all over the world that came to the city every year. You are going to see how this inspires the project. There are also in the University of Burgos the studies of the food and science and technology since the year 1991, related to processing and transformation technologies. We have clear influences in the new gastronomy as a molecular cooking. We call this project Homo Gastronomus. Sorry, is the question? No. These studies related with the university inspired the project in the city, and now we can, for several years, working with the chef to show how the human beings can eat in the other periods, and he tries to show us as consumers how this inspiration make it the new cuisine and arrive to be one of the most renowned chefs in our area. This is the project. The chef, the name of the chef is Miguel. For me, it's a friend too, and defines his project as evolution as a result of scientific research and gastronomic avant-garde. It is the synthesis of the path taken by human beings to combine food and pleasure. Cobo Evolution, or Cobo Evolución, as it says the name of the restaurant, is the gastronomic restaurant whose fundamental is to discover human evolution in an interactive, gastronomic, and sensory way. It will have a menu based of 5 stages of human evolution. Here, where he was inspired in Atapuerca, in Africa, in Altamira, you know, it's in the north of Spain, it's another prehistoric cave, and the period of Neolithic Rome, and also the new era, where you can taste each of these techniques used at all times. These are 2 examples that are inspired in these new creations. One is in the Neolithic period, and the other inspired in the traditional suckling lamb, that is a traditional product in the region, but with a touch of the humans could cook this kind of dish. For Miguel and for the studies, the human evolution gastronomy has defined the humankind, its characteristics, its very evolution, psychological attributes, its brains, and more. Hunting and gathering have been our method of survival until very recently. The arrival of agriculture and the domestication of animals took place in various parts of the planet less than 10,000 years ago. It was the Neolithic revolution of our way of life, including the food we are cooking now, cereals, milk, fermented food, etc. Gastronomic origin, but also much of our healthy customs and diseases comes from this period of the Neolithic that our researchers are discovering more and more every year information, like the diet-related intolerances like lactase persistence, gluten assimilations, among others. Cobo is also a sustainable concept of the gastronomy. The meats are provided at the restaurant every week, looking for the best product with different infiltration and maturation, to give a great experience to our guests and also we are tempered and toasted with coal and old milk from our province. As example, in the city, despite we are not of the seacoast place, we offer in the city, and not only in the restaurant like Kobo, a fresh fish that is part of the restaurant. For example, of this sustainability that is said, is the sea which suggests with fish is available, not us who offer the fish to the clients. This is another sample of the meat that he cooks in this inspiration of the cooking and in the prehistorical areas. I have more information in a video that is going to play to finish, because I think I don't want to rest more time to my colleagues. It's in Spanish because it is so new that we haven't time to translate. But I think you understand what is the philosophy of the restaurant, and it's summarized a little bit the project of gastronomy and human evolution that we are working with. Okay, thanks, and I hope you can enjoy the afternoon with the other exhibitions. If you have questions about that, please ask me later. Thank you.
Nuestro origen se remonta hace 6 millones de años. Os proponemos un viaje apasionante, creativo, una nueva interpretación gastronómica a lo largo de la historia de nuestro planeta, a través de la relación entre los humanos y los alimentos.
La alimentación es un factor fundamental en el desarrollo de las comunidades humanas desde hace más de 2,5 millones de años.
Entonces, en ese nutrirse es donde está impreso prácticamente todo lo que somos. La conformación de nuestra cara tiene que ver con los alimentos que hemos ido ingiriendo a lo largo de millones de años de evolución.
Pero lo fundamental es saber cómo la alimentación ha contribuido a nuestro propio proceso evolutivo.
En la vida todo el mundo evoluciona de una manera o de otra. Creo que la gastronomía y la evolución humana ha ido de la mano a la perfección. Y lo que queremos transmitir es con la cocina que la gente pueda entender que mediante la alimentación se puede entender de dónde venimos y hacia dónde vamos, ¿no? El proyecto de evolución va hacia donde vaya nuestra ilusión. O sea, realmente nosotros, mientras tengamos inquietud y ilusión, tenemos la suerte de tener a grandes científicos a nuestro lado, donde conversar con ellos, donde dialogar tomando un café o tomándonos una buena cerveza, y donde nos van a poder aportar muchas más de esas hipótesis que nosotros lo que vamos a hacer es recrearlas. Vamos a recrearlas, por supuesto, con producto actualizado, es producto que utilizamos hoy en día, pero sobre todo vamos a actualizarlas con una representación y con muchísima puesta en escena. Lo que queremos es que nuestro comensal, cuando venga aquí, entienda de dónde, de qué forma y cómo comenzó todo ese tipo de alimentación que hoy es placer y antiguamente era simplemente supervivencia.
Conocer la historia de la gastronomía, de la alimentación, es conocer la historia del ser humano, conocer la cultura del ser humano, conocer la diversidad humana que existe en el planeta.
Estudiar la alimentación es estudiar el largo camino que hemos recorrido a lo largo del tiempo.
Soy un soñador, soy una persona que creo que tiene pocos talentos, pero uno de ellos es la creatividad. Creo que el aprendizaje es parte de la evolución. Somos lo que somos porque hemos ido aprendiendo y yo quiero seguir evolucionando. Quiero seguir evolucionando, quiero seguir soñando y quiero seguir teniendo la suerte que tengo hasta hoy en día, que todo eso que sueño, tengo la capacidad, los medios y el gran equipo de poder ponerlo en práctica.
This morning, someone asked me why
Questa mattina mi hanno chiesto
so many cheeses, for instance, because it's of our evolution, the needs of people living here. So also making research, I'm looking at you, Pierre, university maybe can make researches about our food and the needs that help to develop this kind of foods in our area. Now we miss Amélie. Amélie is online from Rouen. Is she online? Okay. Bonsoir, Amélie. It's a pity you are not here with us, but I hope to see you soon in Bergamo. You are talking about local networking because you are talking about federating local stakeholders in projects missing gastronomy, attractiveness and key events. That's a big challenge. So please talk us about this huge challenge that you are facing in Rouen, and welcome to the Creative City Network as first French city in the creative network of gastronomy.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. Thank you to everyone. Hello, buongiorno a tutti. I am Amélie Nielsen, the focal point of Rouen, City of Gastronomy since 2021. And this is our presentation for today. So first, there will be some words about Rouen and about our location and background. So Rouen is a city in the northwest of France between English Channel and Paris, which is not very far away, and we are in Normandy. So we have a lot of cheese too here. A few words about our background. Rouen has always been the economic and cultural heart of Normandy. It's ideally located on the Seine axis between Paris and the English Channel, and Rouen is a city of art and history, the one that Stendhal called the Athens of the Gothic genre. We have a rich cultural ecosystem, a cradle of Impressionism, which with its international museum, its prestigious Rouen Opera, as well as major cultural events organized by the city. It's our former port area and our quays along the Seine were very early converted into eco-neighborhoods and places of life, economic, cultural, and sporting attractiveness. In order to meet the challenge of the social ecological transition, the city has initiated a vast renaturation program aimed at projecting Rouen into the era of sustainability. Alternative cultural venue, urban natural park, educational farm, conservatory orchids, shared garden, and even an edible forest. So now we are proud to be the first French city of the Gastronomy UCCN, and for now, we hope there will be more. Here are some words, some figures about our assets. We are first Western European cereal port. We have over 900 restaurants, bar, cafes, and tea rooms. We have also the first national wholesale market created in '69 after Rungis in Paris. We have also many food industries, artisan caterer, and renowned institutions, just as the National Bakery and Pastry Institute, the Fauchon Culinary School, and of course, several apprentice and training institutes, as well as hotel school in Rouen. We also host many international and national gastronomy events, like the International Rouen Fair, the Salon Gourmand, and the Bailey Festival, which was last weekend, and various orders and associations in Rouen, Neufchâtel, Saint-Fiacre, Charcuterie, Coustevin, the Order of the Canardier. And we have also a Rouen Vallée de Seine Club des Tocs, our regional ambassadors of our culinary traditions and innovations. We also have in the health field researchers and gastronomy-related program in the university hospital and research units, especially for cardiology. And there is an importance of the action of the city and local private and public actors aim at favoring organic farming, short circuits, local products, and approaches consistent with sustainable development objectives. So our mission in the UNESCO Creative Cities Network, so of course the field of gastronomy covers multiple topics, as you know, and the city of Rouen and its Norman territory have a rich history of gastronomy. Today, Rouen has many restaurants of excellence, of course, whose culinary practices intersect with other themes, just like integration, training, health, short circuits, and local products. And through our candidacy, the city of Rouen highlighted various assets and partners of the entire metropolitan area and defined in its action plan axis corresponding to the expectation of UNESCO and the 17 Sustainable Development Objectives of the Agenda 2030. Our 22-26 action plan was defined based on this objective, and now you will have a short video of resuming this presentation. Please. Thank you. You will find here the main aims of our action plan concerning local initiatives. So based on social integrations, to strengthen the role of gastronomy as a social link, making food a public health issue, and to raise awareness around good food practices. There is also an axis on social ecological transition and circular economy, which is very important for us in Rouen, to promote neighborhoods and their inhabitants, to facilitate access to sustainable and healthy food, and to reconquer territories lost for agriculture. And a third axis concerning local initiatives is local attractiveness and dynamism, to punctuate the cultural life of Rouen with large-scale events around gastronomy, to raise awareness about eating well, our gastronomic heritage, and animal welfare, and to create synergies between gastronomy and original and innovative artistic projects. Concerning the international initiatives, the main aims are based on know-how and expertise to strengthen our international partnership network, to promote student mobility, and to share experiences and practices with professionals from the Creative Cities network. It's also based on future generations, to introduce children to different cultures through gastronomy, to promote the My Responsible Restaurant approach, which is a decline in the primary schools in Rouen within the network, and to raise children's awareness about eating well and changing our eating practices and sharing their visions. And the last one is concerning interclusters cooperations, to enrich our network of international partners, to support artistic projects linked to gastronomy, to expand our cultural offering, and to promote the mobility of artists. And now the focus on today is on federating local stakeholders in project mixing gastronomy, attractiveness, and key events. It comes from an observation on our side about these three main elements. Local stakeholders lack synergies and dialogues, lack of awareness of each other's initiative and activities, and little time for international outreach. So we propose to get some answer, to federate and create a dynamic network to develop exchanges on common issues and projects, to involve stakeholders in shared events in line with UCCN counterparts and the main aims of the 22-26 action plan, and to integrate them to territorial key events. So here are some examples. The first one is, the Festival La Rue aux Enfants, the street to the children, and the International Students' Night, so projects mainly dedicated to youth, which integrates a cooperation with students from culinary training school, local chefs, integration restaurant staff, agricultural and food industries, and short circuit growers. The objectives are to communicate to the younger generation about healthy eating and sustainable development goals, to integrate local stakeholders within local projects where they are usually not present, and to encourage dialogues between all the counterparts. Another example about a key event in Rouen is the International Boats Festival, the Armada, with a cooperation with students from culinary training school, local chefs, international chefs, Alba and Bergen, integration restaurant staff. The objectives were to share experiences and know-how within a key event, to promote Rouen gastronomy, to initiate dialogue with the partners of UCCN, and to initiate dialogues between the local stakeholders. And the last one example is about Rouen candidacy to European Capital of Culture in 2028. So the city of Rouen is candidate to European Capital of Culture 2028, and within this context, local stakeholders and European partners from the UUCN and others are integrated to encourage synergy connections and projects. And there is one example here, Gastrosophie, we hope that we will be able to realize in 28, to create an experimental laboratory of culinary utopia, inviting farmers, citizens, chefs, authors, scientists, and young people to think up a new philosophy of eating. So the gastrosophy of the future. Thank you for your attention and grazie per l'attenzione. We hope to be able to be present next year in Bergamo. Grazie.
So, thank you, Amélie. Thank you to the focal point of the city of Wuhan. As you can see, many new coming cities in the network are quite active and really networking. Wuhan, for example, but also Santa Maria da Feira, that became Creative City of Gastronomy in 2021. Gil Ferreira, we met a couple of days ago in Lisbon talking about geographical indications. Now I invite you to explain us the project that you think that our Nectar might copy in the future and personalize. Gil Ferreira is City Councillor for Culture, Tourism, Libraries, Museums of the Municipality of Santa Maria da Feira in Portugal. Thank you for being with us tonight, Gil.
Thank you, Claudio. Good afternoon, and let me kindly express my gratitude for Bergamo invitation, and also to congratulate Claudio and his team for this wonderful organization. I'm Gil from Santa Maria da Feira, a small city in the north of Portugal, where 7 out of 10 cork stoppers for worldwide wines are made. And I'm not lying to you, because in our wonderful lunch, the cork stopper that was in the wine bottles was made in my land, Santa Maria da Feira. A territory with a strong transforming industry activity, a rich and dynamic cultural ecosystem, and a crossroad of flavors land. Santa Maria da Feira is the place where you can find the most beautiful medieval castle that we share in the logo with our fugaça, our sweet bread, where you can taste this unique sweet bread, Fugaça da Feira PGI, being made with the same recipe since the medieval times, more or less in the 12th century until now. I'm going to share with you Temperart. There is a program that we are going to launch. We are a very young members of UCCN network in the field of gastronomy. Temperart is a program about feeding up innovation through creativity. Temperart was born of the idea of getting together and cross different art and knowledge fields, seeking for balance in a complementary and innovation ways. As the name suggests, is the mix between the temper from the Latin word tempere, the act of season the food with spices and flavor, with art, adding value. Temperart is a program fully aligned with 2 large scope strategies. First, European strategy, farm to fork, part of the Green Deal, and also sustainable development goals. Temperart is artistic residency program with 4 main goals. Promote opportunities for young and emerging artists, creative techs, chefs and entrepreneurs. Foster international cooperation and cultural exchange. Foment, support the research of Santa Maria da Feira gastronomic heritage. feed up innovation and development. For whom? The beneficiaries are, as said, young and emerging artists, creative techs, chefs and entrepreneurs working in any field of UCCN, as well contemporary circus. Contemporary circus because Santa Maria da Feira in Portugal is the capital of street theatre and circus. And we are also members of Circostrada Network, the European network that represents circus and street arts. And we thought it was a good idea to mix the 7 fields of creative of UCCN to Circostrada. In 2024, core priority areas are gastronomy, crossed with digital and media arts, bioart, robotic art, virtual reality, or artificial intelligence. For 2025 call, we will focus as priority areas promoting the dialogue and intercross between gastronomy and contemporary circus, as Magie Novel, as well as any of creative field from UCCN. The program will launch the first call this November, next month, and the second call, the second opportunity, in May 2024. The total amount of temporary support includes a grant of 5,000 euros for applying artists, a grant of 3,000 euros for project collaborating artists, mentors or experts, accommodation during the residencies and the presentations, but also the travel expenses up to 3,000 euros and free access to technical facilities of hosting institutions. At last but not at least, our core value chain. First of all, the universal access, the program, the guarantee of the equality of opportunities for all. Diversity, race, ethnicity, gender, religion, belief, and culture. People with disabilities are encouraged to apply to this program. Capacity building, selected applicants benefit of a consistent cultural, immersive, and work in progress program with the opportunity to develop knowledge and techniques. But also this capacity building also for the local communities, as during the program we will promote open rehearsals and workshops given by artists, mentors or experts in the residencies. Community engagement by participatory process with locals, this human heritage that we have to value. Innovation, crossing food and gastronomy with arts, science and technology, looking to the world not only as it is, but always how it could and should be. Grazie.
Thank you, Gilles. One question. Is the application on a national or also on an international level? I mean, if Colleen wants to apply from San Antonio, she can apply for this program?
Very welcome. This is an international call for all young and emerging artists, chefs, creative techs or born or living in any creative city, anywhere all over the world.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I remember that next year, all of us, all of the creative cities are invited to take part to the annual conference in July in Braga. And I'm sure that a good stop in Santa Maria da Feira is really welcome by Gilles, just to taste fugassa. Okay, I love fugassa, that's why I'm advertising about that product. So, come back now to Italy. Where is Emanuele? Are you still alive? Okay. Emanuele, City Councilor for Tourism, Events, UNESCO Creative City, Municipality of Alba. Per gli amici di Bergamo, Emanuele Bolla, assessore, nonché...
Emanuele Bolla, councillor, and together with Annalisa, hiding somewhere of the gastronomy creative city of Alba in Italy. The floor is yours, please.
Thank you very much. I will speak in Italian, but I want to say hello and welcome to Italy to our foreign guests. With them, we have a relationship with a friendship, and you're always welcome to Alba. Grazie mille, Claudio.
Alba. Thank you so much, Claudio. Really would like to thank the mayor, my friend Giorgio Gori, for this invitation. Now, this is an unmissable rendezvous every single year, so we can't miss it. Now, we don't have any PowerPoint, I don't have any video, so this is breaking news, because I said, well, it is now 5 p.m. Maybe, we are getting close to dinner, so in our opinion, this is not video time. Anyway, we all know about the network of creative cities for the gastronomy cluster. It is a local institution, and people think we are, the funny guys in the network of creative cities. So we are the guys of, food and great wine. Well, we do much more than this. I mean, we are not just a big catering or international catering company, so we don't travel around to bring food to events. We are a network. We represent a deeply cultural institution. Now, we do think and believe that food is not just something we put on the table basically for, 2 hours a day, which is basically 13 years of our life of facing, food. This is the average time we spend around the table. I think this is much more than this. It gives us the opportunity to talk to people, to exchange views and ideas. It is also a cultural element of our cities. I'm here representing my small city, Alba, this afternoon. Well, actually, this evening, we will be talking about the principles that inspire the creation of the Truffle Museum, which we opened just a few days ago in our city. And this is the reason why the Truffle Museum project is now included into the action plan scope of creative cities. Now, we think that gastronomy is much more than fun or promoting, destinations, for example, Langhe, Monferrato, and Roero. So these are wine-growing areas around Alba. But this is much more than this. It's culture. So with the Truffle Museum, we want to talk about a product much more than a sort of a mushroom, which is one of the gifts from Mother Earth. And maybe it is not possible to reproduce it. I mean, you just have to, search, or you have to look for it, and maybe you have to be lucky getting close to plants and trees favoring the growth of truffles, which also have a scientific value. We want to comply with UNESCO principles, and I think that our own gastronomic culture has to be preserved and passed on. I mean, of course, we would like to attract tourists into our truffle museum. At the same time, we want to offer, a seamless list of products in the city. But we also want to talk about truffle, not just to tourists, but also to people living in our city. We want to talk about the importance of creative cities, a typical UNESCO creative city. This is, I guess this is what happens. I mean, internationally, I go to summits and people say that, local populations don't know about the value of the UCCS, but they know very well the UNESCO sites. So again, the Truffle Museum has the target, which is talking about truffles. Once again, we want to talk about the truffle culture that's been recognized by UNESCO, so we became a creative city. UNESCO also said that this is an intangible, heritage. So let's say there's plenty of UNESCO in our territory, just like in many, territories and communities that, share their speeches today with us. Claudio, once again, congratulations to you and to your staff. This summit is absolutely incredible. It's becoming bigger and bigger, and it's an incredible opportunity to talk to other cities. So this is what our community wants to do. These efforts aim at preserving, passing on the cultural meaning, if you will, of the gastronomic tradition of our city. This is what we do in the so-called Patriarchs of Gastronomy project, plus the Truffle Museum. We talk about those men and women who made our local community great. We do this because we think young people today may receive new acknowledgements and new, let's say, approvals, if you will, from UNESCO. This is something that will happen here, but also to many other towns, including the city of Bergamo with Giorgio Gori, the mayor. Thank you so much, and break a leg for this summit and the summits to come. Thank you so much once again.
Grazie mille Emanuele. Tocca al terzo vertice del triangolo.
Thank you, Emanuele. Now it's for the third part of this triangle among these cities, these Italian cities for gastronomy, and the coordination of the Italian district for gastronomy. So Marco Bosi from Parma, together with Carlotta, no need to hide, we're gonna see you anywhere. So that's the focal point for the Parma city, and that's something good, but that's also burden, because when Carlotta starts working, there's no way to stop her.
If Emanuele spoke in Italian, I can speak in Italian because his English is better than mine. And thank you, Emanuele. Io oggi vorrei raccontarvi...
Okay, so today I would like to talk about the Open Lab, a project that started a few years ago from a place we recovered in the city, but then I would also like to think about what happened and what creative cities will be able to do, because right now we can talk about good things, that's for sure, but we can also think about what could be better. So I've decided to speak in Italian, and I would also like to share a video in Italian telling you about the history of this place.
Ai baci ricevuti, ai baci
To the kisses we received or we donated, not only with our lips, but also with all the dishes we made. This is showing love at its best.
Grazie. Questo progetto
Thank you. So this project was created some years ago, and actually the logo, the place you saw, it's a former monastery like this one that we recovered with some funds, and the idea is actually quite complex, including a lot of aspects revolving around food, innovation, creativity, basically the topic of today's meeting, but also a main topic for creative cities in general. So we wanted to say that food is not merely something we have on the table. As Emanuele was saying, it is multiple, and it is based on, and Italy is based on food as well. And all of the areas that we have introduced up until today are typical. All areas are typical, have something specific, not only the UNESCO creative cities for gastronomy. Parma is lucky, but it has also a burden having two important products that have the name of the same city, so Parmigiano and Prosciutto di Parma, the cold cut. So with that way, we have developed the economy and basing everything on food. We have Barilla in our area, and so we have a deeply ingrained tradition that is not to be given for granted. The fact to keep it up until today, because our strength, tradition, culture, what we have built throughout the centuries, well, we have to make it a strength and not a limitation. And here we have two keywords, innovation and creativity, because creativity means making something new that didn't exist before, with this meeting among cultures and knowledge. And it's not easy, especially in a place where tradition is king, where the valuable product was the one that has always been made that way. But now we have to dare to question and ask ourselves if what we have always done that way is okay for the future as well, or if we should adapt it for the future. There is a word that is always spoken about, sustainability. We should wonder and ask ourselves if we can base everything on animal protein like pork, which is basic key for our economy. I'm talking about that here, and it's feasible here, but it's not feasible maybe with my citizens or stakeholders I speak about that every day. So sure, we received UNESCO recognition not because of the city hall, but because we have created this story based on our products. But now we have to leave that area, which is quite big. It's not merely the city. Between the Po River and our mountains, well, there are around 2.5 hours to cover that area by car. So there are a lot of multiple diverse products, and our city has to leave that to go towards the future that is a tomorrow. 2030 seemed like a distant future, but that's tomorrow if you think about it now. So with our open lab, what we wanted to do was to create an area to talk about the past, but also the future. Here we share food education with photo, with cinema, with music. We want to create a culture which becomes new every single day. It's not only something we have on the table. It is multidimensional. Parma is a symbol, and we are convinced, maybe you are a bit too ambitious and we should be more humble, but we have such a specific and great history. There are not other cities that are similar to us, but we have to be courageous and look towards change, because with change, we have seen the best stories ever. And that's what we try to do also with the Open Lab. Thank you. Okay, and to wrap up this quite intense afternoon, we have Daniele Vimini. He's a friend, but he's also crazy because he will be the new capital of culture. We survived, Parma survived, and we wish him the same thing. I don't want our friends from Como that are hiding here. Thank you for being here as Creative City from another cluster. Well, I don't want them, if I'm not wrong, I don't want them to become applicants again, because I think that Italian capital culture and creative city go hand in hand. So you chose that, but for the other ones, well, think about that and a lot. Actually, I think that this meeting is precisely to share other good ideas like these ones. So thank you. Thank you to the mayor, Gorit, the whole organization for this meeting that shows us how UNESCO cities can talk and look towards the future on topical topics, starting from their history as well. So I'll now briefly analyze how we started as the Pesaro city. We worked on our key figures, so Gioacchino Rossini, a composer, born in Pesaro, then he visited the whole world, but we focus on him and we started with that some years ago because we had to create a new brand identity for the city, because if you stop 10 people from Pesaro on the street asking them about a cultural reference, they would have talked about Pavarotti far more than Rossini. We know that he's from Modena and so on, but actually Pesaro is like his second home and second city, and so the people from Pesaro were used to and are used to seeing him. He has been singing for quite a lot in our theaters and so on, but we needed someone universally recognized as a genius in Pesaro. We chose Rossini. It was a complete task, and at the same time, we had to consider that quite well, because UNESCO also told us, yeah, but you should show that music is key for the whole city. So that Rossini isn't merely the festival that everybody knows about, maybe more from abroad than from Italy, but it has to be far more than that. So we get the designation from UNESCO in 2017, and in the meantime, we approach an important anniversary, 150 years since Rossini's death, and this was a worldwide commemoration. There was a law in the Senate, and so we could do something we'd never done before. We could go abroad in embassies, consulates, and so on. This is something that our cities, also the UNESCO cities, are not used to doing, but with that, we had gone back to a topic that is quite important, the Rossini Gourmet one. So, for a lot of time, in building such an important festival, a high-level one, everything that got passed on to us. Well, Rossini Gourmet was some sort of hidden sector if we compare that to his value as a composer, but actually Rossini said that he was the best gastronomist in the universe and the third-class musician. So we should have focused on that far more. So he wrote a lot of letters, because at the time people wrote a lot of letters, and in his letters he was focusing on the quality of products, how to move the barrique. He told his dad, for example, about that. Also, he was talking about vacuum sealed products, sending pasta from Emilia-Romagna to Paris, where he was living in the second part of his life as a gastronomist. He wrote a lot of letters about the qualities of Gorgonzola cheese. For example, during Expo 2015, we saw, for example, some letters that were landed by us, and over there Rossini was talking about how extraordinary Gorgonzola is. So he was, and now he would have been like Pavarotti as a worldwide knowledge, and also considering the idea of bon vivant. So in all these letters, what we see is that he loved Italian products, but also European ones, such as cold ham from Spain or Bayonne, and then sausages from Bologna, Parma, then mushroom from Piedmont, truffle. There is a lot to say about that, but the Marquis, then Umbria, Piedmont. So what we decided to do was to work following the UNESCO spirit, work on all that. And we would then like 2024 to be a great opportunity also as Italian capital of culture. So we did some sort of dress rehearsal the last year, but this year we really want to show that project at its fullest. So it will be a contest for hotel schools in Italy, and we will also invite foreign ones. So I think that this could be the right place to talk about that. The UNESCO network, starting from Parma, Bergamo, that's for sure, and Alba, but it's open out to also the other cities as well. So we offer a basket of products to the schools, the products that Rossini was using. Well, the menu at the time is not the menu we would use now, but still those menus were introduced and shown in Paris during his meetings on the 6th day. So that was a marvelous showcase for all these products that were sent to him as if he were some sort of an influencer at the time. So we have this basket and we require these schools to make some dishes, and then those dishes will be selected and will be a final, and it will be in March. Then obviously you will get all the information about the call, and then there will be awards for the schools, but also crossed ones with internships, and then to promote Pesaro 2024 and Rossini in thematic trade fairs, for example, the gourmet one in Madrid, but also other ones. And over there, we will introduce the result of all that from an international perspective. And we would like the UNESCO Creative Cities to get into this project, this first international edition for us. And we hope you will get in for the first time and never leave it. So that's the invitation from my side. Now, we have reached the moment for our conclusion, so please, Vittorio Salmoni, the coordinator for the UNESCO Creative Cities. But my collaborators didn't know that, but actually I've got a surprise for all of them. Sara, Lucia, Maria, I cannot see Serse, but please come on stage, because without this marvelous group, please don't be shy. Don't be shy, not at all, please. So, Cersei is still missing. Also, Elena Pasini, that has endured with our work in the last few weeks. Thank you so much. These are the people that have made this meeting a reality.
Ma soprattutto grazie a Lucia.
But especially thank you, Lucia, because ALS, she decided to retire, and so next year she's gonna come here as a volunteer, right? That's for sure. Yeah, she's been quite a pillar for Bergamo as a creative city for UNESCO. I'm so moved, really. I know that. Thank you so much. So, after this surprise, but we started with Rafa in the Sky as a creative city. So, please, I'll now leave the floor to you for your concluding words. Well, it's such a pleasure to be introduced by so much quality, professional, but also human qualities, because as everybody highlighted, actually this summit that has been quite successful, I must say. Well, this happens after many others that have little by little increase the quality of the participation from Bergamo to the network.
Sono state affrontate tanti temi e qui è difficile.
So we've talked about multiple topics, and it's really hard to summarize them all, because the summit focused on generic topics at the very beginning, and then we delved into the specific details of the various projects. And here we
come dire, l'accortezza e anche la lungimiranza di
saw
proiettarci in una dimensione internazionale
that they
dal vivo,
managed to create an international
dalla
projection
quale siamo distanti da troppo tempo.
here
Perché non riusciamo più a
live,
fare
and that's something we have been distant for far too much time, because since the pandemic we cannot do an international summit
il cemento, quello che tiene assieme le
that
città,
is actually the mortar that brings the cities together and binds them, because we know each other, that Claudia, well, all these people have tried to delve into the essence of this collaboration and international cooperation.
finalizzata, è uno scambio commerciale. Che cos'è
What is that? Is it a commercial exchange, an international collaboration? Well, this mortar, as I was saying, starts from human relationships, our togetherness, our meetings, and this network has been growing until 2019, and I've been part of that network since 2013, so a lot of time. Well, this has grown because of this individual relationship that has structured all that. Then it's clear the network is now stronger, but then the city has changed, the reference city as well, because we said that in 2017 in Kanazawa, and we moved from the post-industrial city to the creative one. So another type of city that uses other tools, talks about urban regeneration, cohesion, inclusion, fighting diversity, or better valuing diversity than favoring gender equality. The industrial city and post-industrial one was talking about different things: material, tangible capital, accumulating capital. It was top-down, not bottom-up. So this whole progress that we have personally seen also with our international guests that have told us the late news about the research. So Italy gathered all that voluntarily and not formally, not so formally, but effectively, with a bottom-up and effective approach, while introducing the coordination of creative cities. That's an intuition, or better, a project that would deem really important, and we have seen great results coming from that, and the city was brought together so that they could collaborate on common projects. As cities are different, and they want to highlight also their differences and their special characteristics. Well, we haven't always agreed. You shouldn't think that the coordinating cities is just diplomacy. Sure, there is diplomacy, but that's not it. It is not a place for good manners. It's a place for discussion and dialogue, and we have discussed. There were divided opinions as well. Well, quite an example is the project in which we recently collaborated with Venice Biennale. So we launched all together this idea of getting in touch with that international Italian cultural institution that Italy has had and has right now. So the Venice Biennale, yeah, sure, it's because it has clusters like us, that's for sure, but also because their action is universally acknowledged as the most far-sighted, visionary, and culturally anticipating. So we have all had a different idea about this approach, and all of us 13 cities have had different ideas, and it took us 1 year for a meeting where the Gori mayor was there, and maybe he made the best intervention as talking about how the cities should approach such an institution, and it took us 1 year to create that relationship with Venice Biennale. And this is not as we would expect it to be. So creating a creative city pavilion within the Venice Biennale to expose the project. No, this is a cultural project which is quite important. So moving from memory and historical identity towards the future using repositories and the heritage that all cities have the beating heart of their cultural identity. So repositories to value history and look towards the future, because without history, without knowing what we have been doing in our cities and communities, well, without that, we cannot have any result. And the last thing I would like to share with you now is that the coordination, the life of the cities, this great project, the cooperation and collaboration, well, this cannot go on without fundings. We get funded by the Italian government with really limited fundings that are not annual. It just happens every other year without really specific timings. So we do not get acknowledged. Our way of working on culture for all doesn't get recognized. This is a battle we should fight all together from tomorrow on the cultural perspective. So we should go to the first 4 reference ministries that we always talk about, and we should require them to offer us financial funding so that we can increase and develop our common collaboration and policies, and also policies for the cities, for our politicians, and for the municipality as a whole. Thank you so much, Vittorio. And now, something different from verbal battles, fighting, but obviously it's always around the table for new resources to the protection for cultural goods and assets. You saw maybe the Red Cross, and they will talk about the project that Bergamo and Brescia are embarking on now in 2023. Also, the president of the MIA Foundation is here, and he's hosting this event. But now I won't say anything else. I'll leave you the floor. Thank you so much, and I'll now stop speaking. I've ended. Thank you for bearing with me, and thank you for all your speeches. Thank you.
Signore e signori, buonasera. Fra pochi minuti cercheremo di farvi capire cosa c'entra la...
Good evening, everyone. I will make sure you understand what the relationship is between the Red Cross and a Blue Shield. In a few minutes, I will ask you to follow us at the entrance of this old monastery. We will create the Blue Shield, Scudo Blu in Italia, the symbol of the Geneva Convention signed in 1954, protecting cultural goods or heritage in times of war. So we will tell you why we are here today, dressed in red, and why we want to unveil the so-called Blue Shield of the Astino Monastery. Maurizio Bonoli is the president of the Red Cross here in Bergamo, so the floor goes to him. Gianluca, thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Really would like to thank the city of Bergamo. So, Claudio, you are representing the city. Also would like to thank the president of MIA, and I also would like to thank all the representatives of creative cities. I also would like to thank authorities and all the speakers today. The Italian Red Cross from Bergamo and Brescia, well, We deeply believe in this project, a shield for culture, as we say. Now, this has been put together because Bergamo and Brescia will be capitals of culture 2023 in the wake of the national campaign from Italian Red Cross. The name of the project is "The Future Has a Long Story, Let's Protect It." Now, this identifies 20 places in our provinces to be identified with the blue shield. This is what the Hague Convention signed in 1954 includes. Astino is a major example of how PPP, a private-public partnership, managed to preserve a place filled with history. Now, we have plenty of story here, or history, if you will. A rural, religious history, and once again, the blue shield is a symbol of protection. A protection in times of peace, but also in times of war. An engagement and a commitment in terms of conservation and respect to be passed on to future generations. This is the only way we have available in order to pass on a history rich in incredible masterpieces, culture, and traditions that we received from the past. And once again, we all have to preserve it. The humanitarian international law, unfortunately, well, not very much respected, if you will, includes the respect, but also the protection of harmless population. The prisoners, wounded, injured people, thanks to the Hague Convention, we also have to protect the heritage. So let's see what we can do for you outside before the tour. Thank you. Now, this complex in Astino, this monastery, has received a major restoration and refurbishment works. Now, the monastery is now to be used by the community here in Bergamo. Now, all of these works in Astino, this is being carried out by the Mia Foundation, our host today. Let me invite the president of Mia, Fabio Bombardieri. I would like to thank all of you, so thank you so much for still being here. This is a very important moment for us. Let me thank the Red Cross. Thank you for choosing Astino. So we are going to receive this important protection, so the blue shield. Now, this is to say that it's a very important blue shield, or acknowledgement for us. So we're very happy, and this means that you appreciated the major efforts we deployed in order to renovate the monastery. So we still have a long way to go before closing the renovation. Thank you, because you are showing us that this is an important place for the city. We'll now have the protection represented by the blue shield, where the key topic around us is wars, unfortunately. Thank you.
Abbiamo davvero finito, ma vi prego.
Now, this is it. With formal speeches, please follow us outside in the court at the main entrance of the Astino Monastery. We will unveil the blue shield, the scudo blu. Thank you.